Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to my SmackDown review. Also going to review the Mixed Match Challenge in this video also. And tonight's SmackDown was from the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. And of course, this was SmackDown's go-home show tonight for Crown Jewel, which is this Friday. And I gotta say, tonight's SmackDown, I thought it was a decent show. I thought it was much better than Raw last night, which Raw last night was a shit show. It was a shitty edition of Raw. Absolute terrible show last night. But SmackDown, much better show. So the show opened up tonight with AJ Styles coming out. He was saying, he's got to get something off his chest. And he ends up calling out Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan ends up coming out. Styles says to him that he would like to apologize. And Daniel was like, don't apologize. And Daniel Bryan ends up telling Styles, that he's got respect for him as a man and also as an in-ring competitor. And Daniel Bryan says, when he looks at Styles now, he's no friend or colleague, and all he sees is the WWE Championship. And he says he's going to take the title from Styles Friday at Crown Jewel, which, this is going to set up, Daniel Bryan, not going, to Crown Jewel because, him and John Cena, aren't going to go to Saudi Arabia for Crown Jewel. So I'm going to get to that in a minute with Daniel Bryan. So AJ Styles tells, Daniel Bryan that he's sorry because AJ Styles ends up telling Daniel that he lied to him last week. And he ends up saying that the Pele kick was an accident. And he goes to say to Daniel, he really meant to kick Daniel. And Styles ends up telling him that he's going to do it again to him on Friday at Crown Jewel. And Daniel says, he feels like hitting Styles on purpose. And Styles is like, we don't have to wait till Friday to do this. I could defend the title right now. And so, they both, want to go at it. Out comes Shane McMahon. And he says, we have seen, this before, competitors saying, they want to go at it. And, it never happens. Which is, majority of the time. And Shane says, we are going to have AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship tonight. And Shane ends up making the match, which happens, after the segment. And so that's what we got. We got AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship. Apparently, it was supposed to happen at Crown Jewel, but, Daniel Bryan doesn't want to compete at Crown Jewel, doesn't want to go to Saudi Arabia. So, but we had the match tonight, and this was a dream match for Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles also. And this was a good match. This was a really good match. This should have been the main event for SmackDown tonight. These guys just went at it. It was very enjoyable. The wrestling in the match was really good. It was back and forth between the both of them. And the end of the match, you had AJ Styles end up locking in the calf crusher to Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan ended up tapping out. So AJ Styles retains the WWE Championship, and he's going to beat CM Punk's reign as WWE champion It's going to be happening very soon. So then you had, after the match, Samoa Joe ended up coming out of nowhere and ended up attacking Styles. He ended up putting Styles in the Coquina Clutch. And Daniel Bryan ended up coming to help. But Joe ended up, taking down Daniel. Ended up putting, Daniel in the Coquina Clutch. And so Samoa Joe just laid the both of them out. And then we saw Joe then held up the WWE Championship. So his feud with Styles is not over. So because apparently Joe was, Joe had an injury. So, but yeah, so AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship tonight. It was a good match. It was a really good match between the both of them. Like I said, should have been the main event. Then we had Jeff Hardy end up cutting a promo saying, at the World Cup tournament, he illustrates the masterpiece of his life, and he's going to prove that he is the best in the world. Cool promo from Jeff Hardy. And then after that, we had The Miz cutting a promo saying, how he is the best father and reality star in the world. And, he goes on to say that, he is the best WWE superstar in the world. And that crown jewel, he's going to prove it. So, we had that. Then we had Paige backstage. Charlotte ends up coming. Paige says to Charlotte that her match at Evolution with Becky was amazing. And it certainly was. It was a great match. It was the best match of the night at Evolution. And it was a good match between the both of them. Possibly the best match for Becky and Charlotte. So, and that match should have been the main event of Evolution. So, Charlotte, appreciated, that what, Paige, said, about her match. And Paige asks Charlotte a question. And the question that she asked Charlotte was if she will be the SmackDown Women's Captain at Survivor Series. And Charlotte tells Paige she might not be, the right woman for the job. And Paige ends up telling her, to just, think about it. So, but who knows? Maybe Charlotte, could be, the SmackDown, Women's Captain for the women's match, the 5-on-5 women's match at Survivor Series. It's possibly gonna happen. Knowing WWE. Then we had the New Day coming out. This was the Trick or Street fight. It was Big E versus Cesaro, and the New Day made their entrance. And they were dressed up as the Brood. And if you all know the Brood from the Attitude Era, it consists of Edge, Christian, and Gangrel. And so that's who New Day, were dressed up as. And the Brood was, one of my favorite tag teams or a stable of the Attitude Era. So we had Xavier Woods, who was dressed as Edge. Kofi Kingston was dressed as Christian, and Big E was dressed as Gangrel. And this was a fun match. This was a fun Trick or Street fight. It was back and forth between Cesaro and Big E. You had a point where Big E used a kendo stick on Cesaro, was hitting Cesaro with it, and then you had Sheamus and Big Show and Kofi and Xavier. They were all going at it in the ring. You had Cesaro slam Big E onto a pile of jack-o'-lanterns. Cesaro was going for a suplex to Big E, tried to put Big E through the table that was lined up, and Big E ended up blocking it, and Big E ended up suplexing Cesaro into the jack-o'-lanterns, and Xavier and Kofi end up doing a drop kick to Big Show, and Big Show end up catching both Xavier and Kofi. Looked like Big Show was going to choke slam the both of them, but Xavier and Kofi end up spitting like the red mist into Big Show's face, which was funny. And then you had Big E end up spitting that red mist also into Cesaro's face, and it led to Big E end up hitting the big ending to Cesaro, and Big E ends up winning the Trick or Street fight. I mean, it was a fun match between them both. I had fun with it. And then we had Shane McMahon. We saw Shane McMahon was in his office saying, who is going to be the best in the world? Is it going to be The Miz? Is it going to be Jeff Hardy? Is it going to be Randy Orton or Rey Mysterio? And Rey Mysterio says to Orton that, he strikes fear in every superstar. Orton says, he is vicious, and he's going to show tonight how vicious he is. Because the main event is going to be Jeff Hardy and Rey Mysterio versus The Miz and Randy Orton. And, Orton says, he's going to show tonight how vicious he is, and, how, Rey Mysterio should have never came back. And so Jeff Hardy says to Miz, he's going to go straight to the top and become the best. And Miz ends up saying, Jeff Hardy won't be flying to the top. He's going to crash and burn. And Miz goes on to say and claim himself that he is the best in the world. And Shane ends up telling all of them, one of the worst things is his sister can call a Raw superstar, the best in the world. I mean, it could happen at Crown Jewel in the World Cup tournament. And Shane ends up telling all four of them that, whoever makes it to the finals and gets beat by a Raw superstar, they will not have a home on SmackDown. Means that they will be fired from SmackDown. So that's how it's going to go. So, and that was the backstage with Shane McMahon and them. Then we had Paige backstage with AJ Styles. Styles ends up coming to Paige and says that he wants Samoa Joe at Crown Jewel. And Styles ends up demanding Paige to give him the match, for her to make the match at Crown Jewel. And so Paige ends up considering it. So now it's going to be AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe for the WWE Championship at Crown Jewel. So that's going to be that was Samoa Joe's Daniel Bryan's replacement, for that match, even though they had the match tonight. between Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles. So yeah, so we're gonna get that on Friday with Styles and Joe. Then we had Shinsuke Nakamura versus R-Truth. Originally, this was supposed to be Nakamura versus Ty Dillinger, but Ty Dillinger is injured. And this match, you know, was meh. Didn't really care for it. You actually got, you know, the 7-second, you know, dance thing with Truth and Carmella, and then, you know, it went to commercial. But Nakamura ended up getting the win, hit Kinshasa to Truth to score the win. So Nakamura ends up winning the match. So, but meh match. And then we had Becky Lynch coming out saying, you know, she won, and you know she was beaten and got up again. You know, which what happened at Evolution. You know, means that, you know, she was saying that she won at Evolution, and she was beaten, and she ended up getting back up. And she ends up saying that she is the last woman standing. She goes on to say, beating Charlotte proved that she is the man. And you know, she had a you know, I'm the man or something T-shirt that she was wearing. And she ends up saying that, you know, when she says that she is the man, and she says it goes for the SmackDown and Raw locker room. I guess, you know, the women's locker room, the women's division. And she says what's next for her. She says that she traveled all over the world to smash people like Ronda Rousey, which she ends up, you know, talking about Ronda, you know, because, you know, it's going to be Ronda versus Becky, champion versus champion at Survivor Series, which I'm looking forward to. It was announced on Raw last night, and Becky says she is going to be walking into Survivor Series to rip Ronda's arm off. So we got a little hype for that. That's gonna be a good match, in my opinion. I hope it's good. But like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing Ronda versus Becky at Survivor Series. Champion versus champion. Then we had Samoa Joe, you know, cutting a promo, saying to Styles that, Styles thought that, Styles think that, they were done, with their feud. And Joe says tonight, when Styles defended the title against Daniel Bryan, he had to create their final chapter, which is possibly going to be coming at Crown Jewel on Friday. It's going to be possibly, the final chapter between the both of them. And he says he's going to be raising the WWE Championship over his head. So there you go. And then we had the main event. Rey Mysterio and Jeff Hardy versus The Miz and Randy Orton. Tag team match. And this match was a good main event. It was back and forth between the both of them. You had The Miz end up getting a 619 from Rey Mysterio. This was at the end of the match. Rey Mysterio ended up hitting the 619 on The Miz. Jeff Hardy went to the top, hit the Swanton Bomb on The Miz, pin, and Rey Mysterio and Jeff Hardy ended up winning the match. And after the match, Randy Orton ended up hitting the RKO on all three of those guys. Ended up hitting the RKO to Jeff Hardy, Rey Mysterio flew from the top, and Randy Orton just came with the RKO right there, which looked cool. And then he ended up RKOing the Miz. So that's what happened after the match. But it was a good main event. It was enjoyable. And then moving on now, we had the Mixed Match Challenge, which the Mixed Match Challenge this week, it was decent, not the best. But first match we had on the Raw side, it was Braun Strowman and Ember Moon versus Jinder Mahal and Alicia Fox. Do I need to say who wins this match? Who won this match? And you had Braun Strowman just dominating over Jinder Mahal. Jinder Mahal was out there with Sunil and return Samir. Samir ended up returning last night, is what we saw on Raw. I forgot to mention that because Samir was out with an injury. So, and then we had at the end Alicia Fox end up saying, "Oh, I'm the captain," and she had like the hat on. Braun took it off of her, and then he put it over his head, and he's like, "Oh, I'm the captain." And then he tells Alicia, "Oh, Alicia, look." And then he just saw Ember Moon hit the Eclipse to Alicia Fox. Braun Strowman then ended up hitting the running power slam on Jinder Mahal. Pinned. Braun Strowman and Ember Moon win the match. And I really liked Ember Moon here. The woman who should have won the Women's Battle Royal at Evolution. So, but overall, it was meh match. If you're going against Jinder Mahal, you know who's going to win. So, and for the Raw side next week, we're going to get Bobby Lashley and Mickie James versus Finn Balor and Bayley. So that's next week. And then we move on to the SmackDown side. It was AJ Styles and Charlotte versus Rusev and Lana. Which this was a fun little match. The first part of this match, so maybe like 10 minutes in, or like 5 minutes into the match, it was just a chop off where it was like, let's see who could do the hardest chop. And so we had Lana doing the chop to Charlotte doing the chop to Lana, Styles to Rusev to Styles. He actually had Rusev doing the Flair strut, which looked like he was doing the robot to me. And you had Charlotte hit a hard chop to Lana, which made her roll out of the ring. And then the match just went from there. Even Rusev wanted Charlotte to chop him hard, but the match went on from there, and it was back and forth between Styles and Rusev. During this match, when Styles picked up Rusev, you heard like Styles go, "Man, he's heavy," and then he just laid him out. But at the end of the match, Charlotte ended up putting Lana into the figure 4, bridged it into the figure 8. Lana ended up tapping out, and so Styles and Charlotte ended up winning the match. But it was a fun match. I liked it. And for next week on the SmackDown side, we are getting Carmella and R-Truth versus Jimmy Uso and Naomi. So that's going to be next week. So, but overall, like I said, decent mixed match challenge, but wasn't the best. So, yeah, so anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's SmackDown and also the mixed match challenge. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all tomorrow night for the Lucha Underground review. Ultima Lucha Cuatro, the first part, tomorrow night. Looking forward to it. And, you know, it's going to be on Halloween. So, yeah, so stay tuned for that review tomorrow night. And I'll see you all tomorrow night for the review.